Hey YouTube, this is an updated tier list for the Chrono classes. If you haven't seen my last video, it's in the description below, you can check it out, and it should also be in the top right corner about now. And basically, because of all the buffs and nerfs these classes have received, I thought it's important to make an updated one. And before you'll jump to the comments defending your favorite Chrono class, I'm just going to say, this is my opinion, so let's get into it. Okay, so first off we have Corrupted Chronomancer. So this is probably the best soloing class out of all these classes. I'm going to put it in S tier straight away, simply because of its insane damage and also its very good survivability. Depending on the potion you use with it, because this requires potions to be used, you can make it either good at survivability or good at soloing. I think it is easily the best soloing class in this list right now. And before you ask, it will be released on 20th August, as will Nechronomancer and Underworld Chronomancer, at least according to Elena. The next class is Shadow Walker of Time, or Shadow Stalker of Time. And last time I put this in A tier because it had great survivability because of its high dodge, and also had great damage because it could stack its DOT to infinite. And now it's been nerfed pretty massively. I mean, it can't stack its DOTs anymore. So it can't stack up to infinite damage, but it still has great survivability because of its high dodge, so I'll put in B tier. Also, they buffed its base damage, so it does high critical hits, so it's not that bad either. Also, because of its increase in base damage, it's actually quite good at farming now, and you can use it quite effectively against high HP monsters, and it's a viable option. I really don't think Shadow Walker of Time deserved the nerf, because it was one of the most complex and fun classes to use, and didn't require just spamming all the buttons, and it wasn't that OP either because people had to learn how to use it and stack its DOT effectively. So I really don't think they should have nerfed it, but it is what it is. The next class on the list is Chrono Commandant. Chrono Commandant has great survivability because of its damage reduction, and it can solo monsters like Colossal Primarch, which can deal huge amounts of damage. It can also do really high damage itself, reaching up to 100k crits and even higher, so I'll put it in B tier because it can survive and also do high damage at the same time. The next class is Timekeeper. Recently Timekeeper had a nerf, but the nerf got reverted again, so it's still good. And last time I put it in A tier, I think that was in S tier, and I think that was an overestimation, because I overestimated how good it was at dodging and how good it was soloing one-hit monsters. And actually, if you don't have full thief enhancements, you're probably still going to get hit and you're more likely to die. So I'll put in A tier because it has really high crit, decent dodge, and can solo pretty much most monsters in the game. Timekiller is actually also really good at PvP, so if you're into that, you should try it out. The next class is Nechronomancer. I'm just going to put this in S tier just straight away, because it's pretty much the best farming class in the game. It's pretty similar to Legion Revenant, they're about the same in terms of farming. So if you already have Legion Revenant, there's not much point in getting it, but if you don't, you should definitely pick it up, as it's just amazing at farming. It's not very good at really anything else, it's not good at soloing or PvP or support, but its main strength is farming. The next class on the list is Chrono Corruptor, and it's received a buff recently, but not a very significant one. Last time I put it in C tier, and I'm actually going to keep it in C tier, because it's mainly a soloing class, and it's still not that good at soloing, because its damage just doesn't match the other Chrono classes, and neither does survivability, so there's nothing that really it stands out at. So I'm just going to keep it in C tier for now. The next class on the list is Chronomancer Prime. Now Chronomancer Prime has very high DPS, and so it can deal hundreds of thousands of damage, and in terms of survivability it's not great, and it can't kill monsters that can do lots of damage at a time, like thousands of damage or more. So I'm going to put in C tier because it only has high DPS and not good survivability, and even its DPS is not that good compared to the likes of Empyrean Chronomancer or CDK, Chrono DataKnight, or any of the other higher tier classes. Next up we have Chrono DataKnight. Now last time I put in B tier simply because it had really good DPS, but only in parties. In fact, it has the best damage out of all these classes in a party, so I thought that was really good and I put in B tier, but the reason I didn't put any higher and I'm still not going to put it any higher is because soloing, it's not that great compared to the other classes like Empyrean Chronomancer or the classes above it, and also survivability, also not good, or really any other metric like farming. So for that reason, I'm going to keep it in B tier as its only strength is in parties. And also, recently the ultra bosses got buffed, and that was like the only thing that CDK was useful for. I was tempted to put it higher before the ultra bosses got buffed, but now I'm just going to keep it at B. Next we have Empyrean Chronomancer. Last time I put Empyrean Chronomancer in B tier, and I'm going to keep it there. And the reason I put it in B tier is because it has really good solo DPS, probably one of the best in the whole list, but it doesn't have good survivability, so I decided to just keep it at B tier because it doesn't really compete with A tier or S tier classes, but it's still a really good soloing option. Before I move into the next class, smash the like button down below as it can really help the channel. And bonus class time. Obviously the next class, Void High Lord, is not a chrono class, but I just wanted to add this in recently because it's had such a huge buff. It's literally better than some chrono classes, even as soloing, let alone all the other things. I'd put Void High Lord in B tier because it has insane damage now. It can do 10k crits constantly, and that's only with its 4 and 2 skills. With its 5 skill it does 40k crits, and it doesn't even have to build up any damage. It can build up damage even higher though, but even at the very start it's huge damage, and its survivability is one of the best in the whole list because of its damage reduction, and it's also great at PvP. It's great at support now too because it's a rank 10 debuff, and it's just an amazing class now. And I'm so glad AE made this change, because if they didn't, it'd be kind of unfair on everyone who farmed Void High Lord for so long. So I'm just going to put a B tier now. Obviously it's not a calendar class, but I just thought I'd add this in so people can kind of like see where it would be at. So the next class we're looking at is Interstellar Knight. Last time I put Interstellar Knight in D tier because it was easily the worst chrono due to its extremely low damage and survivability, and inability to do anything else like farming. But due to recent buff, I have decided to put it at S tier. And no, I'm kidding. Obviously, it's not S tier, it's in C tier. The buff hasn't been that great. It has increased its damage, so it's a viable class to use in terms of a chrono class, but it's still not as good as many of the other classes on this list, even with the damage buff. And finally, the last class is Underworld Chronomancer. The last video I actually didn't include it, and many people are asking why and what tier it would be in. And the thing is, it has the same skill set as Corrupted Chronomancer, so I'm going to put it in S tier. I know obviously it does have a different potions which can affect the class quite a bit, but not enough for it no longer to be in S tier. I still put both Corrupted Chronomancer and Underworld Chronomancer in S tier.